I was just writing some notes just to kind of keep myself on track a little bit. And I don't want to bore anybody, but this is the testimony that I said when I got out of that relationship that I wasn't going to say anything to anybody about because it was basically embarrassing. But then as I was in church one Sunday, I just felt led. You know, people say God told me. I'm not going to say God told me. I just felt led to talk about it. So I asked Elder Brian Jones at that time, the church I was in, if I could say something. And so I just did just a little bit. So little by little, whenever I share this testimony, I just tell just little bits and pieces about it. There's a whole lot more to the story that maybe one day, if I be obedient like people tell me, I will probably write a book about it. Because the physical abuse was after I got a divorce, but the negative abuse was while I was married to someone else. So, anyway, so I'm just going to do after the divorce. I said that way. After I got a divorce from my ex-husband that I was married to for 29 years, I met another person. And as I always tell the story, when people look at me, they look at me, they know me as a person that smiled a lot, they know me as a person that has been going to church basically my whole life. So I grew up in Church of God by Faith, and then I got married. Before I got married, I was going to church with Apostle Alene and my brother and my sister-in-law. We all were together. After I got married, I started going to Miracle Deliverance Center. So basically my whole life I've been in church. And but sometimes you can be in church and you can do everything, but then, when you at home and everything, those lonely feelings come out. So y'all pray for me, I'm nervous. So so after the divorce, after being married for 29 years, and my divorce was filed in May 2010. But before that, from 2003 to 2010, my husband and I was living in two separate bedrooms in the house. So we were basically single, but just still living together. And so it was like, well, if I'm going to be single, I might as well be single. So I went and filed for the divorce. And I've always been, with someone and everything. So after the divorce, you know how you get lonely. And in one of my other testimonies, I said that we were going to church all the time, but then we cut out the 6 o'clock service in the evening time on Sundays. And Sundays is just the day that, you chilling and you lonesome and you riding in your car. And I heard somebody earlier say something about the quiet storm, and I had to laugh because that's what I did. I rode around in my car listening to 94.5, and like I was telling everybody, that station is called The Quiet Storm, and it has all those songs from all the old people, Al Green, Barry White, Luther Vandross, Marvin Gaye, and then you riding around and you're listening to those songs and you're thinking, man, you're lonesome and everything. So you kind of look for love in places that you really shouldn't look for love in. Amen. And it says that a man that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. But then sometimes, we as women, we kind of want to get on out there in the way and kind of help, that man find a wife. And so, that's what I did. My daughter taught me into going on the internet. And I went on this blackpeoplemeet.com, and I met this guy on there. So everything that he was saying to me was everything I wanted to hear. And then when I talk about the fact of being lonely, and as I did my testimony before, somebody had told me, talking about, girl, you should have told him about that song, If You Think You're Lonely Now, Wait Until Tonight. I said, who that by? Talking about Bobby Womack. I said, I don't know about no Bobby Womack. But anyway, that's the way it felt. You okay during the daytime because you with everybody and everything, but at night that's when it bothers you when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
So this person I met, and he was kind of like a manipulative person. But what my problem was, when I met this person, you know, and we talking and talking, then I didn't realize I'm telling this person everything about my past life, you know, what I went through and everything. So there's grounds right there for them to come and then tell you what they think you want to hear. So everything he talked about was everything I wanted to hear. And as I was growing up, I always wanted to have a person that was military so I could travel. And this person was military retired. All he did was travel. So I was like, wow, there it is right there. That's what, you know, that's what my life gonna be now. I'm gonna travel. We traveled. Yes, we did. We traveled. And but as you know, it went on, my family said, let us check him out. And I was like, no, he's okay. He told me about himself, you know, and I kind of believe him. And he was telling me everything that I wanted to hear. But once we got together, and even, I just don't even know how I even let this happen. But, because I'm always a person like, if you're not married, you shouldn't really be living together, you know. But then we were living together because he told me he was going to marry me. And he said he had to get a divorce, but I don't know if the man was already divorced or not. I just don't know. All I know is I knew what I wanted right then, and I wanted to be with somebody because I was lonesome and was tired of being by myself. And so when we moved into this apartment, everybody thought we lived in Tampa, and we lived right here, right there in Bellevue, in Santos, right down the road, basically from Elder John Heflin's church. So we would pass by that church all the time, and I would look over there, and he would like, you know, some people at that church, and I'm like, no, you know, because anybody that he think I know, you know, it's like he probably would have moved me from there and went somewhere else, because, you know, and I'm getting nervous. But anyway, we was right there, and I always say, so close but yet so far away from my family, because my kids live in Ocala and Reddick, and my family is in Wilson, Raleigh, Gainesville, Archer, and I was just so close but yet so far away. He didn't really keep me from my sisters and brothers, but he kept me from my kids. I have a boy and a girl, 29. My son just turned 29 today. And my daughter's 25, so those are the ones that I was kept from. And he made me change my phone number like about 4 times. Couldn't give it to my kids. They could only use his number to call. So my daughter didn't want to call him unless she really had to, but my son, he didn't really care, you know, because if he wanted some money from mama, he gonna call, and he gonna, you know, whoever he need to talk to, he gonna call. But as we moved into the apartment, this was the terrible thing, ladies. Oh. We had security cameras in the apartment. There was an alarm on the wall outside of the bedroom, so if I even got up in the middle of the night and tried to get away, that alarm would go off and it would wake him up. He had my car keys, he had my cell phone battery locked up in his possession. The apartment, he changed the locks on the apartment to a lock that where you would need the key to get out. But what he did, he slept with his keys and his wallet and his phone in a pillowcase and under him. So I could never get to anything. And if I wanted to, I mean, I could get out, you know. And so, you know, a lot of people ask me why you didn't put a note on the neighbors thing, or why you didn't go to when you go to the store, why you didn't go in the bathroom and ask somebody to use their phone. Well, I tell them don't ask me that because I really don't know why. Because this person was very manipulative, very controlling. And even when you're in the grocery store, you couldn't even look at nobody. You better look face like that right there. Because if he thought your eyes was on somebody else, you know, then that's trouble right there. So I did a lot of things, and I stayed there because I was scared that he was going to harm my family. He would always make me think that he can get anybody that I love in trouble. And my son had called and put a threatening message on his phone and said, if you hurt my mom, I swear I will find you and kill you myself. And he would take that recording and he would let the police people hear it. You know, so it's like, I don't know if he can get my son in trouble or not. You know, he's letting people hear that. And if something happens to him, they're going to be looking for my son. And so I just kind of kept it cool when it was like that. But this person was so crazy that he would make me sit down in front of a video camera. He would write down what he want me to say. And he was telling me on this thing to tell my family that I'm not the girl that they thought I was, that I use cocaine and I'm a prostitute and I'm this and I'm that. And he will make me actually sit down there and do that. And in y'all minds, y'all might be thinking, how can he make you? Well, I got hit everywhere. I had black eyes, bruises on my stomach, bruises on my head. I mean, like everywhere. And I kept every day, I'm like, Lord, how did I get myself into this situation? I cried every day, I prayed every day, and I repented every day. And then it's like duplex apartments where, well, be quiet before somebody hear you, you know, like that. And if I wanted to even put a note outside on anybody's door, whenever I go outside to put trash out, he will be looking, standing to the door looking. So I really couldn't do anything. I mean, couldn't do anything but pray and hope that God one day delivered me from that. I stayed in that from June 2010, but it didn't really start. The happiness didn't start until September 2010. So I stayed in that from then to September 2011. And that was a horrible place to be. That was almost like being in the pits of hell. I mean, somebody hitting on you every day for no reason. I could just be riding, we could be riding the car, I would get Gatorade, water, whatever's in his hand, dashed on me. I could be driving, he would put his foot on the accelerator, make the vehicle go faster. He could be driving, he would speed up, he would put on brakes right on the interstate. And we was in Tampa one day, and he was driving crazy like that. And actually, police put their blue lights on him and asked him what was the problem. And he gave him some kind of excuse. But I could never say anything, could never do anything. And it's just crazy. But he would tell people that I was a drug addict. And that my brother-in-law, which everybody know, well, maybe some people know, my brother-in-law, Pastor Robbie Williams. Well, he would tell them that he was the drug dealer and that he was using the church as a cover-up and that I did drugs. I said, man, I don't even know what cocaine looked like. Because he talking about, I know how many lines you snort. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know what cocaine looked like. And he would tell these people that, and people would sit there and look at him like they believe him. And all I do is just shake my head. And then he had me at this counselor. And I'm looking at him like, I'm not going to tell these people he lies. You know, I'm just looking at him like, and he talking to the people, and I'm just looking. They said, well, we can't help her unless she want to be helped. And I looked and won't open my mouth. Wouldn't open my mouth. I am not finna go along with those games that he was playing. Because I know I never did any of that stuff. Then he at one point he had his knee was swollen. I don't know how his knee got swollen, but first he had gout in his feet, so that's probably was always wrong with his knee. But he went way to this doctor in Orlando, and he told this doctor that I let somebody come in and have sex with me while he was asleep, and that they beat his knee and caused his knee to swell. I was like, I was just sitting there like, so after the doctor took him to the x-ray room, she told one of the ladies at the front desk, she said, you tell Miss Williams that I need to talk to her. So tell her I'm going to put him in this x-ray room and I'm coming back to talk to her. So the doctor came and talked to me, and she asked me, was that, she said, is that all true? I'm like, no ma'am, none of that is true. I don't know how he hurt his knee, but none of it is true. Well, she actually asked me then if everything was okay. I could call the sheriff right now. I'm still scared. And I told her everything was fine. And I was like, and every time I do that, I almost kick myself. I was like, girl, what is wrong with you? But I really was scared. You know, and because what he did sometimes, anytime he would talk to somebody, he would put the phone on speaker. So I know he's talking to these people. And he used to tell the VA hotline that I was harming him. I was stealing his blood pressure medicine. He called DCF and told them that my daughter and son-in-law was smoking marijuana around the kids. And these people were like, well, you know, you can't report it at this office. You need to report it where they live at. Well, then he would never call where they live because he's storing. But he would do these things. And so I know for a fact that he was, because it's always on speaker. But then he would like get up. We would get up in the middle of the night. When we're talking about travel, we'd get up in the middle of the night. We'll go from Ocala, Tampa, from Ocala to South Carolina, from Ocala to Naples. I mean, we really traveled. And I remember Christmas of that year, 2010, we went to South Carolina. It was snowing. Well, I had a good time because of the snow, but I didn't have a good time when he started hitting on me. And that was the problem. But we would get dressed for church, and I'd be dressed like this. Guess where we go? To the park. And then if we did go to church, church be over. And by the time we get there, we actually went to my brother Ricky's church in Archer. Church be almost over when we get there. And then I'm the type of person, like, when I'm in church, I'm like in church. But you know, when I was around him, I'm like this right here. And I was like, wow. But he also went to Tampa, and he had some questions that he wanted to ask have this lie detector ask me. And the question was, have you had sex with anybody since you've been with Mr. Mitchell? Okay. And then did anybody break into your apartment and harm Mr. Mitchell? So I guess he figured I was going to say yes at all of these things. Like, did anybody harm him? I like, no. Have you had sex with anybody? No. And another question he asked, no. So all my answers was correct. So when he got a report from the man, and he's like, something he ain't did right, because I know he's lying. I'm like, okay, you just paid $500 for me to take a lie detector test, and you don't believe it? He tried to sue the man. He went to the Better Business Bureau and told him that the man was fake, you know, and all that. This person is crazy. And I hadn't experienced that for a whole year, about a year and a half. And y'all, I tell y'all, it seems funny, but it is so sad. It is so sad. So I advise y'all, hey, think, look, check it out before you get into it. But I tell you. And then I was asking them just a few minutes ago, because I thought about this. I thought about it just now. I say, where's Greenville, Florida? So my niece looked it up, and it's in Madison County, somewhere up near Tallahassee. We went there one time, some lady that he know, and he was having a lady talk to me, you know. Oh yeah, Mr. Mitchell, he's a good guy. You know, I know him and I know his family and blah, 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 you know, just talking to me. And then he was telling her that my brother-in-law and other people in my former church I was having sex with. And I'm like to myself, if any of those people was coming to that house, I wouldn't even be there, because they didn't even know where I was. Everybody thought I was in Tampa. I was right on Ocala. I mean, nobody knew where I was. It's like I had fell off the face of this earth. And when I got home, my daughter, she said, Mom, I know you were somewhere in between Bellevue and Tampa. She said, because I knew your account number, your bank. She said, I was checking. She said, I was tracking your bank card. And she said, you used it a lot in Wildwood, Bellevue, Tampa. She said, I tracked it. And she said, at one point, if I would have had a car, she said, I probably could have found you in Bellevue at this gas station you was at. And she told me the gas station. I said, yeah, but you wouldn't have found me because you had to come way from Reddick, and that was way in Bellevue. You know, but anyway, it was just crazy. And when we went to this lady in Greenville, and he was telling her all of that stuff, she told me, she said, well, baby, read Psalms 91. And whoever your enemy is, you put their name there. So boy, he don't know. He thought I was putting everybody else's name there. But every time I read Psalms 91, it was his name. Sammy Mitchell. In my head. I wasn't writing nowhere. Sammy Mitchell in my head. Lord, release me from Sammy Mitchell. I tell you, it's just so many things, you know. And then when you're, you know, in the there's no kids in here, so like when you're in the intimacy part of a relationship, and I didn't want that because, you know, you hit on me, and what make you think I want you all over me when you hit me? So basically, it was rape every time, every time. And I was like, Lord, when you gonna ever get me out of this? But I know that God moves on His own time. So in August 2011, we got into a car accident, and Pastor Alene told me, she said about that same time, she said that Prophet McIntosh had to call her and told her that somebody in your family is in trouble. You need to pray. Well, she was thinking it might have been her kids, you know, never knowing it was me, but she prayed anyway. And that was in August. In August 18, 2011, we got in a car accident in Daytona. And the person that hit us was an undercover cop. So he thought that he can get some money from it. So we went to this lawyer in Tampa and did an injury claim. So every time she would ask questions, he would answer. So she was like, okay, could she answer her own questions? She know what happened, you know, to her. She know what's hurting on her. And so after we met a couple of times, and she said that, and I asked her, I said, well, could he leave out? So when I said that, he kicked me under the table. She didn't see it, but when she made him leave, I showed her the bruise on the back of my head from a walking cane that he hit me with like 2 weeks before that. The bruise was still there. I still had bruises on my stomach area that she could still see, and she saw that. And she said, oh my gosh, Miss Lee, she said, this person is going to kill you. You know, and she said, what? She said, I knew it was something wrong with this relationship. She said, because every time you all come in here, he do all the talking. We only had his phone number. You never smile. Only thing you do is speak. You know, and she said, I knew something was wrong. But y'all, do y'all think I went back with him, don't you? I did. After all that, I went back because I was still scared. Well, the next week, she told her secretary, she said, we got to get her back in here. And so she called, and he was like, what does she want? I said, she called you, she didn't call me. She don't even have my phone number. I don't even use my phone. Whenever I talk to anybody in my family, my phone was always on speaker, so everybody would hear, he would hear what everybody had to say, so I couldn't really say much. I used to call Ricky every Sunday morning at 8:30. I couldn't do that, and he knew that's what I used to do because I told him I did it. So he would make me call Ricky on Sunday mornings, but I didn't really want to call Ricky because I had nothing to say to Ricky in front of him because I couldn't talk to my brother like I want to. And he would be like, Alene, you okay? You know, is he making you do these things? And all this time he's hearing Ricky talk to me. And I was like, wow. And my daughter, she said, yeah, I would say things on that phone because I didn't know she said, Mom, I found out it was on speaker. She said, I felt like it was on speaker. So I was back to her office to see what she wanted. He thought that I was just going to sit in the car, so he told me to stay in the car. He was just going to go in there and see what she wanted, but she came out the door and she told me to get out the car. She said, it's hot out there, you know, get out the car. So when I got to the door, she said, what's this I hear about you bleeding, and he's trying to make you go to the hospital and you don't want to go. I was like, bleeding? I said, what did he tell you? She said, well, he said that you had let your brother-in-law come in and have rough sex with you and you was bleeding. I'm like, ma'am, I said, it's that time of month. I'm a lady, and that's what's wrong with me. And she said, okay, but do you want to go back with him today? I said, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. And she said, okay. She said, Mr. Mitchell, you have to leave. So he was looking all crazy and stuff like he didn't know what was going on. And she made him leave. So then she asked me where my stuff was. It was still in the car. So she had to call him back to bring my purse and my phone. And he was trying to talk to me on the phone, and I told her no, I didn't want to talk to him. So when I did get a chance to call Ricky, I called Ricky, and I just bust out and started crying. It's like everything y'all thought was wrong. I am not happy, you know. And so I was crying, and then he called my other sister, and her husband came and picked me up from Temple. The secretary took me to the police station, and the police said that I could sit there until my sister come and pick me up. And the secretary was not going to leave me. She was going to sit there too. But then she had her mom call, so she had to go. And he said, well, where's your car? I said, he got it. He said, do you want your car? I said, mm-mm. He said, I would get him and your car. I said, oh, I just want to go home. And they first was going to put me on the bus, but the bus was going to take like from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Okay, I'm like, no, I'm ready to go. And so when my sister came and her husband came and picked me up, they drove from Archer to Tampa to pick me up. And well, I got in the car, and she said, take the battery out your phone. I don't know, the crazy thing, could have put a tracking device or something here. Take the battery out your phone and use my phone. And I called my daughter. And when I called her, she thought it was my sister. So she was like, hey, Auntie. And I said, hey, Brittany. And she said, Mommy, Mommy. And she was like, George, Mommy is coming home. She's on her way home. And I said, yes, I am on my way home with nothing but the clothes on my back. I didn't want nothing right then. All I wanted to be was at home. And so that is how I got in that relationship. And I know God had a hand in it. Man, I just had bought that Buick 2009. In 2009, it was a 2005 Buick LaCrosse. It was cute, black. I loved it. Just had bought that, and got in an accident with that. And I did get something out of that. I got my sanity back from that accident. I got my life back from the accident. Only thing I heard in the accident was my knee and my thumb finger. That's all I heard. And if y'all would see the car, y'all would think that, man, y'all would think I would be like dead or something. That car was really total. So I got that back, another car. I got $5,000 from the, you know, you get $10,000, but you ain't, by the time you get through with it, you get $7,000. So I got about $7,000 back from that. And I got 5 new suits from my former pastor, Pastor R.G. Williams. Because when they called and told him I was coming home with the clothes on my back, he called me, he talked about, girl, he said, what size you wear? And I told him, I got home, I had 5. He had ordered me 5 new suits. And I tell you, it was something else. And I'm like, Lord have mercy, but I really advise anybody to check it out. And right now, I am so, like, I'm relieved, but I'm scared. You know, when people like, oh, you gonna marry again? I'm looking at them like with my nose turned up. I don't know. But I know, you know, one day God, you know, He may work something out. But right now, it's like, I'm okay just like I am right now, because that was an experience that I have never experienced before. When I was growing up, they told me that my daddy never beat me. Mama used to beat us. Daddy never beat me. He might have beat Ricky and the rest of them, but he never beat me. So I'm like, how is this man hitting on me for no reason at all, and my daddy never beat me? And you know, you can be in the kitchen washing dishes, you're gonna get knocked up in the sink. You can be cooking, you can get knocked up into the stove for no reason at all. He was just mental person. That's all he was, just a mental person. And so when I came back, well, when I came back, I wasn't in Tampa, I was right in Ocala, but when I got back among my family, I went and did an injunction. And when they went out there to look for him, he was gone. He left actually all his clothes in the apartment. Only thing he took was a printer that he had, his computer, and the flat screen TV that he bought. and everything else. He had left in the apartment. And when I did get a chance to get a locksmith to go out there, all I got was my clothes, and I left everything else. And then I regretted that. Man, I left a new sofa out there. I left a treadmill out there, a new bed. But then I was like, I don't think I want any parts of it anyway. So I told the landlord, do what you want to do with it. I don't care. And he said, okay, Miss Williams. He said, well, all I need you to do is write me a letter. He said, you don't have to explain too much. He said, since I know now what's going on, he said, write me a letter and you can break this lease. He said, I never knew all of that was going on right up under my nose. I said, no, nobody did. Because I had to act like I was happy when I was around people, but when I wasn't around people, I was never smiling. The chiropractor's office, when I went back to them, after I left him, I was a totally new person. And the secretary, when she said, who's next? I had went in, and she said, who's next? And I said, me. And she looked at me, she said, Miss Williams. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, oh my gosh, I never seen nothing but the top of your head. She said, because your hair was always down. And I had natural hair, then I went to a curl. But when I went back to them, I had to put me a stocking cap on and put a wig on. So I was back to my old self. No more curls. And then I forgot something. I was like, that I said in one of my other testimonies. When y'all know the curls, how they dry out. I used to have to walk around and carry moisturizer in my purse because I never knew he was going to throw a dash of water on my head. And then it dries my curl out. So I'm like spraying, every time I go somewhere. But ladies, that man was crazy. Crazy. And then you know what? Sometimes I hear that sometimes ladies do that to men. So men, watch out too. But here I am with my smile again. He took away the smile while I was with him, but once I came from under him, the smile came back, the joy came back, and now it's a real smile and it's real joy, and it's not that fake smile that I had to do when I was around my family. So I thank you all for listening. It's a whole lot more, but that's about it for now. Thank you all.